to that extent.
The ketamine that you take...
ketamine is very different from all of this. I haven't taken cocaine to that extent.
The ketamine that you take...
ketamine is very different from all of this.
Yes, it is totally different.
Conjunction with the isolation tank?
Yes. It's the safest place to do it. Ask Tony. She's picked me up. I've broken things with furniture and fallen on the face. It's used an anesthetic. It's a common anesthetic used in most of the emergency clinics for the very young and very old. And it's incredibly useful because it dissociates you, your essence, from your brain, so you can move away from the pain.
Didn't the patients report in the early days having quote, out-of-body experiences while under surgery?
The emergent symptoms are given in the sheet that goes with it.
But in pediatrics and geriatrics, the older people and younger people were not having the side effects. I would like to interject here a real warning, though, that I feel that not too many people have used ketamine to the extent John has, and I am seeing and realizing that it is cumulative, and everyone that does try it should be very, very careful.
Is there any habituation in the head?
There's a grief when you go off, and what you feel when you're on it is an incredibly high energy, about 10 to the 10th times with your usual energy level. The fifth derivative is increased immensely. Edges are sharper, colors are clearer, sounds start and stop very much more abruptly. You have a jerk and a pulse and all this sort of thing coming in. Music is incredibly clear. Beethoven and Bach and rock are very, very different domains, different reality on ketamine.
Different dimension.
So you're working in the fifth dimension when you're on ketamine. Your brain is then tuned in. Now, there are other sciences than ours, intelligence is far greater than ours, that can have instruments which can control you in these states. So be aware. Pick your place. Your place, it should be free of contaminating computer read-in, read-outs. They're coming to you from the cosmic computer in Echo. The Earth can control. If you can stay tuned into that computer, your brain is infinite, so far as you're concerned. You have available any kind of knowledge that you need, instantaneous data, faster than the speed of light. You have integration systems, you have programs, you have predictive systems, you have past histories that are totally complete. So if you stay in this state, you can become a next level human. And if you have friends, associates who will do the same thing, you will then have a society which will evolve at an incredibly faster rate. A training program, I hope that we can set up a legal training program using this material, having physical, mental, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, and sexual exercises done under the influence of the substance.
Surprised by the fact that since it's such an effective blocker of neuromuscular transmission that you're still sitting up and can maintain some
That's
control.
Because from 73 to 74 I spent 13 months working with it. And then from 81 to the present time I spent a good deal of time working with it. There is a sign that I use. It's a high-pitched singing sound that I hear in my ears when the energy is incredibly high. At first, when you take it, it's an anesthetic. You leave your body. You go into alternate realities. You're forced to. As you become more and more acquainted with it, you can bring those realities here. Now, they are here for me right now. And they are part of this reality. So there's feedback between me and the Echo computer and the alternate realities in hyperspace when I'm ketamine. I suspect that our next level of evolution, we will be automatically tuned in. We won't need any extra substance. This will be built into the system as it develops. So that embryos developing new brains will be attuned to this kind of quantum radiation.
Can you perceive a jump beyond the current level of perception that you're at?
Yes, the dolphins and the whales are probably tuned into this, and by meditative techniques way beyond ours, and certain yogis and so on can also tune in.
John, are you doing any training now?
No, I'm hoping to set up a program.
I certainly hope you can and will. John, do you feel that the facility to use LSD safely, prudently, and effectively is a step towards the use of ketamine, or is it irrelevant?
Well, and one's caught with one's own history. In 1964, I took my first dose of LSD, and after the first two trips, the third trip was done in a tank on the island of St. Thomas, in a flotation pool above the pool where the dolphins were. And I totally left me. I became we. I became one of the creators of the universe. Stayed there for about 6 hours Earth-side time, but eternal there. And when I came back, I was very disquieted. I was in grief. I spent 6 weeks in grief, realizing that the expansion of me was beyond anything that I've ever experienced before. This meant then that there are alternate realities, and I was skeptical at the time, and as I wrote in Programming and Metaprogramming Human by Computer and the Center of the Cyclone, there are entities greater than us, and I talked with them in The Scientist, and I'm writing a current book about this also. We are part of a universal mind that permeates all of the universe, and we are a node in a network of many computers, if you wish, throughout our space as we see it, with alternate realities immediately available to us, with tachyonic travel velocities, so that we can, at any time, progress faster, farther than we ever have before.
What is the benefit for survival plugging in at that level?
Well, one learns that there is a science way beyond ours. We'll take, say, the year 3000 as an example, in which it is possible with mental processes to materialize and dematerialize objects of any structure. A complicated computer, a nuclear weapon, whatever. So that one could sit in a meditative pose in the present day and automatically dematerialize every nuclear warhead on the planet and in space around the planet. This is the kind of science.
There you go. That's it.
Could one then materialize them? Someone else?
Yes.
Good question. Is there
Doctor Strange, the battles of Doctor Strange. I used to read Marvel comics, and there was a character named Doctor Strange who actually had his battles on that level with his foes.
Dr. Strangelove also.
What about that?
Those are pretty low-level stuff. This is the mental ability to control quantum mechanics and the inner sub particles and systems within each atom instantaneously throughout the universe. If one does this and shifts it just a little bit, and I did it this afternoon, I was involved in it this afternoon, and I was in terrible grief that I would never be able to get back, and finally, with Jan Brewer's help, I was able to come back to this planet and not be in the alternate reality of hyperspace.
You wanted to come back.
Oh yes, there is a very peculiar point of center, a teacher that must come back and teach. Reconstitute self. If I wanted to, I could just go totally dispersed and be we and not me anymore. This is incredibly dangerous. I don't want to do it. Tony keeps saying, do you want to kill yourself? Do you want to die? And I say, no, I don't. And it's the teacher that has to come back and be with Tony. So I use Tony as my anchor here on this planet.
I know.
And boy, does she tears her to pieces. She's a beautiful, marvelous beauty. Marvelous. Heavy lady. In the lingo of Gordon Liddy, you are mellow, lady. Thank God he arranged that Liddy not be here. So I really would like to see him.
Oh, I think he's delightful. He's got a great sense of humor. Right.
Cock humor.
You're very compassionate and very kind to him.
You are.
Well, I'm very protective of him. He brings that out in people. Usually in women, but women get very protective of Liddy.
You're a very kind, compassionate person.
Yes, I am, John.
Tim Leary, God himself.
Oh, yes.
Bhakti Yoga.
I talked to someone, actually it was not, why not bring names in? Nathaniel Brandon was there that night. And we went out afterwards for a little dinner, and he, I think he takes himself a little bit seriously, but that's good because he should be taken seriously. So. And he was concerned because he felt that he wanted to talk to you, John, and that you weren't there to talk to him. And I said, well, you must realize that this is just my opinion, this is my reality, and I don't expect anyone else to take it. But I feel that John, when he wants to, or many times when we're with him, is simply farther out than any human beings that has ever existed. And I think did I say that in the seminars several times today? I feel that this entity has gone out. But as he's written, the two of you have written, the two of you have worked out the most extraordinary relationship between any two human beings that I've ever known.
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. So I said, and then his wife came up, and his wife was very upset because she was, again, why, she wanted to talk to Dr. Lilly. And I said, well, the thing is, he's a trillion miles into the fifth dimension thing to do, but he's in constant contact with Tony. So if you want to talk to him, ring him up through Tony. And I told the story that we were taking ketamine one night at our house, and remember the story with the pizza?
Yeah.
Yep. He was gone. Whoever he was, that thing was not talking at all.
I'm a 200 milligram man. You're a 50 milligram man.
100 that night. 100 that night. Yes, 100. Now, give me a break. I know. I'm just beginning. Next year I'll be 175. I'm going with you, John.
I'm going to 500.
Yeah? Oh, macho. I'm ready. I'm definitely on the voyage with you, John. But the story I told him, and I remember that you were kind of totally communicating with Echo or CIA or something up there. And we had to go out and get the pizza, remember that? Yep. And he hadn't responded for about an hour, and then Tony said to John, pizza? No answer. And 5 minutes later he said, mushrooms. Remember that? So, it takes like 5 minutes going faster at tachyon speed. It took 5 minutes for the message to get out. That's how to get out and back, but it shows the distances we're dealing with, right, Tony? That was funny. Yes, I do. Yes, and they're trying to get me to whirl like a dervish.
You better learn.
John, I'm going to.
The whirling dervish thing in both directions is very, very good for you. You can develop a robot stomp that turns into a whirling dervish.
Notice how the average person can't even move an eyebrow at this level of anesthesia. John, I totally endorse everything the way some of the metaphors, I would choose different metaphors, but I totally endorse what you're doing. I think is the most important work done on our planet.
Meta-programs.
Meta-programs, well, yes.
Super self meta-programs.
Super self meta-programs. And I intend to spend the next year, to the extent that you will allow me, in following you along this path. And anytime you want to start a training program or astronaut training, I volunteer immediately to...
We'll meet around Centaur 3.
Well, you just tell me where to report.
I want to be sure that we have scientific control.
You have to have a sufficient number of isolation tanks first. The isolation tank is the savior of all of us. It's really an incredible place to be. I started in 1954. In 1964, I took LSD in it. And yesterday I was using it with Kevin. And I evolved from a small blip on this in the molecular soup in the sea and became a cell and moved on to becoming a human being, climbing out, being a lungfish, climbing out on land, amphibian phase, and so forth, all in about a period of 5 minutes.
See, what I think happens is that it numbs the survival systems that are built into the body.
For the consensus reality.
But very necessary ones.
I didn't follow that.
Well, she says that ketamine knocks out the survival programs.
It dulls them, and it's cumulative.
But no, the body's in better shape than ever. It doesn't affect any of the vital functions.
I don't see. I think it starts to affect
No, she's talking about
organs.
connectedness to other people.
Oh, yes, I see that.
For sure.
That's no question about that.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But
Connectedness goes down the drain.
I think it also
But you can
does something to
increase it
organs.
too.
And I think that it's nobody knows yet, and I think we should be very, very careful and have very strong and strict science.
As I wrote in the Science, there is a deep well of neutrality into which one falls, out of which one must climb, either on the positive reinforcing side or on the negative punishing side. This state of high indifference, Franklin Merrill Wolff, is induced in the brain by ketamine. This is hyperspace. And it's a total use of one's total capability in ways which one cannot predict. At the behest of the ECCO, ECHO, Earth Coincident Control Office computer. So that the harmonizing teaching distributed over the whole planet, the outside thin layer that we live in, the atmosphere, the oceans, and so on. And boy, we are so microscopic here. We are like a fog on a marble. Dew is falling on a marble.
What is
And we live in that dew. We're not very important. It's our consciousness that is important. It is our connection to hyperspace that is important. It is beyond the 3 dimensions of this planet, the solar system, this galaxy, this universe. They do it to you. That guy with the cosmic computer that comes and takes you through the cosmic amusement park is incredible. He did that to me in Texas last summer. He did it to your friend up in Alaska, in Canada, also at the same time. I think there are certain programs that those guys concoct, which they put you through every so often, if you're willing and able to go there. And they lift you off the planet and take you all through these rides. And
I get a very
drop you
different
back.
kind of thing from men that take ketamine
Yeah.
than women.
Yeah, that's our finding too.
Now, I don't ever get a feeling that if, something separate from myself that's organized out there, that's doing it to me. I don't ever get that feeling.
Great.
But I get it from a lot of men that take ketamine, and I don't get it from women that take it.
I have the same experience you do.
What, that you're connected, that it's not
It's
something
not.
separate from you
Right.
that's doing it
Right.
to you. Right.
In fact, that it's the process is inherently unpredictable, that it is as unpredictable as the creation of the universe. That the universe is, so to say, a big computer, and what it's doing is computing this reality, but it cannot predict its outcome, as Turing proved for programs in general.
Okay, I've gotten stuck in your program. In this consensus reality, I've gotten stuck in that. I'm stuck in it right now. That is the teacher that I was talking to you earlier about. The other guy goes out there and says, "Hey guy, come on, take me, I want something new." And they say, you got to clean up your old karma. This is a karma cleaning time. So they take me out and they clean up my whole history, right back to the sperm explosion kind of thing. And they clean and clean and clean. And I have to view my pre-birth, birth, and post-birth, and this life, and my future life, in order to keep it clean and pure by their standards, not by mine.
What are their standards?
God, I wish I knew. I'm writing a book on the subject now. I'm a bit of a sloppy reporter, but I'll try to get it close. It's called, the title of the book is From Here to Alternity, and a manual on ways of amusing God.
Good, huh? Good.
Now, what is that moment?
Target's going to publish it.
Hey, gotcha.
When it becomes separated, so it's no longer you, but them.
Describe it.
Or what does that feel like? I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't dare do it right here.
I
And
know.
I would have to speak as they at that point. And if I did that, you wouldn't understand me because I'd be speaking in a very primitive, three-valued logic language, which is the basis of creation.
Through guided?
I'm not a being anymore. I'm
You understand what that means? Three guided
a
life?
translucent substance which permeates the universe.
I have a couple questions. One of them, Tom, for you, John, is when you come back to your body, is there any possibility that the entity or the energy that's re-entering is altering that structure, physical structure?
Oh yes, there's the evolution of the structure, forced evolution. And I keep yelling at Echo and saying, "You bastards, you sons of bitches, why do you have to push me so hard? Why is ketamine needed? I don't want ketamine, I don't want to inject all this crap in my system." And they say, you will evolve to the point where, with ketamine, where you don't need it anymore.
So your faith and confidence is high enough to feel that as you go through this process, you will survive it in this
It isn't
world.
my faith and confidence, it's my necessity of following their orders.
And you
Could
trust
this
that.
be a program in
Trust,
your
no.
own
Obedience,
program,
yes.
John? Could this be a program in your own program?
Of course it could.
That's what I want. See,
I'm cleaning up my own software and all.
John's history has had Catholicism, and he's had a lot of authority. See, I'm all John.
Catholic kind
Yeah.
of out there. Men generally
Yeah.
examine the external reality projected inwardly.
John,
But that's
I'm offended when you talk about the God out there and say He. Every time anyone says God, He.
he, she.
Yeah, I wonder now why do you use that term? Okay. John.
Shut up or shut up.
You're outrageous.
I don't always say that. John says it all to me.
I have some ketamine if you want to take a trip.
Good. I have some too, as a matter of fact. I brought a full bottle.
Is there some sort of sexual identity of they or he that you perceive?
Read your Bible.
Some
Be a good boy and read your Bible.
sexual. No.
Now on microfiche.
What? I didn't understand that, did you? What he just said to you?
He said, is there some sexual identity? He said,
To he or they or who you're referring to. They want me to, he wants to.
Oh, what? Before the beginning was the void. As Heinz von Förster corrected my text. Before the beginning was the void. In the void, God, consciousness without an object, practically world, created himself. He then became conscious of creating himself. He then became conscious of himself and became incredibly bored and wanted to fill the empty void with dichotomy. So he chose yin-yang, male-female. The antipodes of reasoning and motive, being and feeling. Okay? Melanin is that which binds the yin-yang energies. You can generate any one of the indole group of Sasha Shogun's chemicals from your own neuromelanin in the brain with your own meditative processes. With ketamine, you can free up immense amounts of this. So then you can gyrate, vorticize, and become hyperspace. The only reality is an internal rotating reality. Yin rotates right, yang rotates left, and looked at from the top down.
Yin goes this way, and
Yang goes the other.
depending on whether
So
depending
these
on north or south.
oppositions can either cancel or can build up immense energies.
How about in relationships east and west? If you're
In and out.
I'm talking about you're facing west or north or south when you spin, John?
You tell us.
Well, I see. This is internal spin.
Go
right?
into outer space, become a consciousness point, and now rotate in 5 dimensions.
Mm.
Start rotating in 1 dimension, and then rotate that rotation in another dimension, and so on. And do it at various frequencies, and finally you will tune in on the hyperspace.
Mm.
Training on 2 drugs, ketamine and LSD I've done. Taking, say, 20 K trips on 1 LSD trip. This means that you can maintain your consciousness, maintain the recording of what happens, maintain the experience for transcription as best you can do it when you get back. The screen of words is always an impedance, and it's very difficult to do. But do it. Atom, XTC, and such drugs are also useful in this area. But ketamine itself is the primary molecule. It doesn't affect breathing or heart.
That's what I've heard.
It's a slight increase in blood pressure.
I have a sheet on it that Bristol puts out if you want to see it. They've kept rats on 10 times the normal human dose for 6 weeks. No deleterious effects in any organ.
What's the normal human does in that sentence you just used?
For use in anesthesia,
So-
1 milligram to 2 milligrams per pound.
About for me, 150 pounds.
About
That's,
30 minutes of surgical anesthesia.
yeah.
You can repeat this for as many hours as you need it. I've done it for 6 weeks.
For a 150-pound person, that would be about 400, 300.
Then what's the difference from diaphragm then? Why don't you
Okay.
discuss that? I'd like to hear that discussed.
All right.
There.
Ketamine adds energy to the whole neuronal and extra-neuronal systems, so that if one is caught with a single program, such as deep breathing, one can excite a neuronal circuitry with the muscles hooked into those particular neurons in such a way that they maintain their activity for hours on end. I did this in my particular case with the diaphragm.
With what?
With diaphragm,
Pain.
Which is hooked into the ribs here, and then it goes down under the lungs and the heart, and supports the heart, and fastens on the rear wall. If you get this into a spasm, the local blood flow is cut off to the muscle, and the oxygen deprivation leads to intense pain.
Did you ever have anything like that?
Now, I used chlortrimeton,
Okay.
knock it out, and thought that I was allergic to the substance. But this isn't the end. The answer turns out, John Harrison's massage, deep massage.
We have a break or let it go on? A little break.
You transfer the energy throughout the system, and you let go of the energy that you're holding in any given system.
We've been going about an hour and 20 minutes. This is the most educational and inspiring hour I've ever spent, John and Tony. I'm totally in agreement, and I'm going to dedicate much of my time in the next year to helping you and the project in any way I can. I think that this drug and these concepts are the most advanced and important that I've ever heard, and I'm totally with it, and I've been taking quite a bit of ketamine off and on for the last 5 months. I have been so involved with planetary affairs that I have not been able, there's something that I have to do and I'm going to do, and in about 2 weeks...
Please, next time, don't tell the press that John Lilly knows all about ketamine.
Well, I told her to read your book. I didn't tell her. That was a good book review.
When they called me, I said in the book The Scientist, published by Lippincott and also by Benham, in 1981, I called it vitamin K because it adds energy. You have an incredible amount of energy. Now the main function of the total cerebral cortex in which we live is inhibitory on the lower systems. This adds energy to all systems, to the eye systems as well as to the non-eye systems. So you better get busy and learn what this control is and isn't.
How do you learn that?
By experiments, by training on ketamine.
John, when I talk to the press, I was not trying to finger you as my dealer. I was not giving you up as my dealer. They say, what is it? And I said, I don't know, read the book The Scientist by John Lilly. And I was sending them to the library, not to you, but I should have done that, and I apologize.
Well, several people have died on ketamine.
No, really?
Marsha Moore died on it.
Are we sure about that?
Oh, yes. Marsha Moore died on it.
What? Died of
The
what?
doctor that introduced me to it, Craig Enright, who was the doctor here at Esmond, Kate Guard and so on, repaired his car and drove in a fog up the coast. We don't know whether he was on ketamine or not. But anyway, he went over the cliff, dropped 600 feet, and lasted only 10 days. It was brain injury.
Well, what about Marsha?
I think it dulls the survival system so that you can fall down and, be unconscious, and then the elements do the rest.
It's useful in psychotherapy.
You have to be very careful.
Tony's therapist that she worked with LSD, Gerald Carlson, used it with his patients and took it himself, but he also used alcohol. And finally, this killed him.
A combination?
Yeah.
Of what? Respiratory or of falling off cliffs or
No, just...
fucking too much or what?
No, it just killed by means of the wish to die.
Yeah.
You just...
The neutrality, I think.
Unlikely that Craig had used ketamine for some week or more prior to
Right.
But
I agree.
We found, in fact, after long use that destabilizes the basic body systems.
Right.
I suggest we take a...
Spectre of the body.
I suggest we take a 5-minute break. We'll kind of move around and stretch. And thank you, John. Let's continue.